What is going on, everybody? It is your boy, your man, Stux. Back at it with another video. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with my 2024 yearly check. And for those who are new to the channel or new to the yearly checks in general, it is where every single year I rank every single new release movie that came out in theaters or on streaming, and I rank them from the worst to the best. But before we get into actual beginning of the video itself, guys, don't forget to subscribe because number one, it's absolutely free. Number two, also maybe help with the YouTube algorithm, recommend video to more people, and maybe they could join. And do feel free to comment your yearly checks down below. But with that being said, guys, this is going to I'll tell you how many movies I saw this year, and I saw a total of 77. I believe that is a new record. I think like last year in 2023, I think it was somewhere around the 50 range. This time around, it's 77. And this year, it looks like there's going to be a lot more added to the list because this year is packed with movies. Anyways, before we start ranking things, just taking a quick drink of water. All right. Alright, so coming in at last place at number 77, it is Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate.
Ew.
The worst movie of last year, or this year. Well, it's 2025 now, but the worst movie of last year. I did not like Megamind versus Doom Syndicate whatsoever. It was a sorry excuse for a sequel for a beloved animated movie of DreamWorks, and quite underrated, honestly. This time around, the animation, you can tell, wasn't done by the same people that worked on the first movie, and it looks absolutely awful. All the voice acting was not good whatsoever. The main guy that kind of replaces Megamind, there's some moments where he's like, alright, but overall, he's still not good either. Just everything about this movie was terrible. And hope... They said that they're making a third one and it's going to be theatrically released. After watching this, no. I do not want a sequel to that. If it's a sequel to Megamind, have the old cast back. This time around, they did not have all the old cast back. So this movie was a piece of you-know-what. And this is my top 10, the bottom 10, by the way. So 70, or, well, anyways, last place was number 77. This is number 76. Not too far behind that, I have Mousetrap. And Mousetrap was pretty bad as well. I think the positives out of the way, I always try to think of some sort of positives. The only two things one is a mixed and one is a thing that possibly could help elevate the movie in the future. If I'm hanging out with a group of friends and I watch this with them, probably I will enjoy it a lot more, because then I think all of us will be laughing our butts off at this movie and acknowledge and just point out everything wrong with this movie. And for those who do not know what this movie is, it is the Mickey Mouse horror movie Mousetrap, because Mickey Mouse went in the public domain not too long ago, and we also have another movie coming out this year, Wolf, but that movie seems a lot better than this one. It's just basically a kind of a knockoff version of Freddy Krueger wearing a Mickey Mouse mask, even though he has no dream sequences whatsoever. All the acting was terrible. There's one scene later on in this movie that was kind of funny, and I kind of enjoyed by myself watching it, where all I'll say is a character dies, and the person that loves them or has a crush on them or whatever goes like, "Oh, I was gonna ask her out, but then you just killed her right there." And the line delivery was so bad in that sequence. My goodness, it was hilarious how bad the line was delivered there. Apparently they're making a sequel out of this. Yeah, that's not gonna be good either. The whole entire arcade arcade setting I thought was okay. I thought it was an interesting way to take things, but you can definitely tell it's very low budget. So, yeah, number 76, Mousetrap. Woof. Coming in at number 75, I have Under Paris. This is a straight-to-Netflix shark movie, and it feels more as if it was a straight-to-TV shark movie. You guys know what shark movies I'm talking about? I'm talking about Damn Sharks. I'm talking about Dino Shark, Atomic Shark. Anyone remember those movies? This is another one added to the pile. That's what it literally felt like from the production of the movie. The CGI for the sharks and the CGI for most of the whole entire movie is terrible. The French setting could have helped elevate the movie, but it really didn't. What else happens in here? The lines do not add up whatsoever in the movie. And the kills were forgettable. Yeah, just this was bad, and I did not like this movie whatsoever. So coming in at number 75. Coming in at number 74, I have Borderlands, and I went into this one not having played any of the games, even though I am a big Telltale fan and I know they made a Borderlands game. I walked in basically knowing nothing about the game, and the movie was pretty crap. Two things that I think were done well about this movie. One was done well, and one I enjoyed. Mostly other people didn't enjoy it, though. The well-made thing about this movie is the whole entire production design of the Borderlands world. I think they did solid with that, even though it feels very reminiscent of Mad Max. And also, Jack Black as Claptrap, even though most people thought he was the most annoying part of the movie, I don't know why, he kept me entertained. But everything else about this movie, CGI and green screen, terrible. All the acting performances, well, Cate Blanchett does okay. There's some performances that are okay, but some of them are horribly miscast, especially Kevin Hart. He basically delivers no jokes whatsoever in this movie. He's not the common Kevin Hart character in this. Yeah, terrible movie. But to be fair, at first I thought it was just, it was entertainingly bad. But over time, it's pretty bad. Coming in at number 73, I have The Strangers Chapter 1. And here's a hot take that I've talked about many times before on the channel. I'm not even a big fan of the original Strangers. I think it's okay, like the designs of the actual killers are solid, but man, those characters in that movie are the stupidest characters possible I've ever seen in any horror movies. And it's not just to further the plot. They're just characters that are stupid, that infuriate you. Like, what are you doing? This time around, they make the characters even stupider, and they're way less well acted compared to the first film, because I do acknowledge that the characters were well acted in the first film with Liv Tyler, and I don't know what the other guy's name was, but they did good in their roles and did good at being scared. And then this movie was way worse! It was worse! And also, this is rated R, by the way, and there is not a single kill it shows on screen. Maybe besides one. That's it. All the kills are off screen. Even though it's rated R, you can't even get carnage candy for your horror fans out there. Also, the decisions of the characters, as I said before, are stupid. They are way more stupid than the first film. I mean, there's a scene in the trailer with a truck. That's all I'll say. Hopefully they learn from their lesson, and hopefully Strangers Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 are way more better than this, because I went on a full-on rant about this movie when it came out and reviewed it. I was angry. So, if you want more of a rant, there you go. Coming in at number 72, I have Afraid. And this one I thought was probably, watchably bad. I think the best thing about this movie is I think the actor's name is John Cho. Whatever the guy's name that is that plays Captain Hulu from Star Trek, the more newer movies. He at least is trying in this. Everything else about this movie, pretty rough. Dialogue was pretty bad. I mean, this whole entire year, the two worst productions companies of the year for this year, for the worst movies that they released are Sony and Blumhouse. They're pretty tight, neck and neck. Well, at least Blumhouse, to be fair, even though I'm talking trash about Afraid right now, at least they had Speak No Evil. At least they had that, which you'll see much higher on this list. The whole entire AI thing was just repeated off of Megan and basically done worse than Megan, where it's an actual artificial intelligence now with crap CGI and yeah. Coming up at number 71, another Blumhouse movie, Imaginary. The main character from the main character of this movie that's from Jurassic World Dominion, she does good. She actually seems like she's doing her best with the project. Everything else, not good. Chauncey the bear was just they should have done the whole entire Child's Play thing, and they should have done it better than they did not. There's a twist reveal in this movie that I was being an idiot and I didn't see it coming at the time, but it's such an obvious twist from the title of the movie anyways. Characters are not that good either. Yeah, it's just Imaginary 71. Yeah, Blumhouse, man. Hopefully this year is a lot better, even though, as I said before, Speak No Evil was good. Coming in at number 70, I Have a Lift. So this is straight to Netflix movie with Kevin Hart. And it's a very forgettable action generic movie. So that's pretty much all I gotta say about that, really. And I don't remember anything else about the movie besides that. Coming in at number 69, I have... 69, right? Yeah. Coming in at number 69, I have Madam Web. To its credit, maybe if I rewatch it, it might be entertainingly bad, but still, it was quite bad. This was the first movie in the Sonyverse where I went like, I'm with the people that say this movie is absolutely garbage, and yeah, it is quite bad. There are a couple interesting ideas in here. The whole entire Terminator idea with Spider-Man, I thought that sounded cool on paper. The execution, though, terrible. ADR, absolutely terrible. You could tell literally from the screen that literally on the screen multiple times, especially with the villain, by the way, where he would just be talking and like have his back to the camera, right? And then you see his mouth sort of moving like this, and it's not even meshing with the dialogue at all. Yeah. Madam Web. Yeah. Coming in at number 68 is probably the biggest disappointment of the year for me personally, and that is Here. So this is the newest movie with Tom Hanks, and from the trailers, this looked like it was going to be great, and it ended up not being that. I thought it was very lackluster. Again, a couple interesting ideas for sure. This movie just has one camera angle the whole entire movie, which on paper, that does sound interesting, so... that has that going for it, at least. I think Tom Hanks still acts good in this, and also the actress that plays Jenny from Forrest Gump does good too. But the de-aging effects, we still have not mastered. We just gotta stop doing that. If it's a little tiny bit of de-aging effects like Spider-Man No Way Home, that's fine. But everything else, like if you do it for a longer period of time, yeah, it doesn't work. I pretty much couldn't connect with the family the whole entire time. Yeah, it was just very disappointing. Coming in at number 67, I have Kraven the Hunter. It's entertainingly bad as well. No, actually, no. Coming in at number 67, I have Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scavenger. I like Kraven the Hunter more than Rebel Moon, while still not all the way liking Kraven the Hunter. Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scavenger, to its credit, is a lot better than the first Rebel Moon. However, it's still not a good movie either, just like the first Rebel Moon. I think some of the action sequences are cool, but it's just rip off Star Wars again. All I need to say, really. 66. Originally was 67, but as I thought about it, I changed it. Number 66, Kraven the Hunter. Some really bad ADR again, but not as bad as Madam Web. Some of the best things about this movie, I think, are the rated R action sequences. I think that helped to elevate the movie in some light. And also, you can tell some of the actors are trying. Aaron Taylor Johnson's trying, and you can actually tell he's very compelled to do the role of Kraven the Hunter, and he likes that character. Russell Crowe does decent in here. He actually tries, which is very surprising because I feel like he would not try if he knows the type of movie it is. And the movie at the beginning, first chapters of the film with Kraven's backstory, I was kind of... I wasn't bored. But when it eventually got to the revenge subplot later on in the movie, I got super bored. CGI in here, terrible. Green screen, terrible. Dialogue, horrendous, which Madam Web's dialogue was horrendous too. I forgot to mention about that. Rhino versus Kraven fight, yeah, not good. And yeah, number 66, Kraven Hunter. Coming in at number 65, I would say, is Despicable Me 4. It's okay. If your kids love the Despicable Me franchise, this is another addition to add to that. So that's all I pretty much gotta say. But for the older teenagers and the adults, yeah, this one wasn't very good either. It was just okay. But the musical number at the end was quite good, though. Coming in at number 64, I have Spaceman. And I would say from Despicable Me 4 to up, I would say all the rest of these are the most of these are mediocre. It increases from mediocre to decent to great to good, well, to good to great to amazing. So Spaceman was just meh. It was alright. I think the whole entire relationship that Paul Dano as Panuche and Adam Sandler's character was pretty decent throughout the movie. Some of the scientific special effects I thought were decent. However, yeah, it's just a very forgettable movie, and it did drag quite a bit, quite a significant amount throughout the whole entire thing. So, coming in at number 63, I have Night Swim. Besides Speak No Evil, it is the second best. Well, along with Speak No Evil, this is the second. Speak No Evil is the best Blumhouse movie of the year. This is the second best one, and that's not a high bar, to say the least. But Speak No Evil was a lot better than that. As I mentioned so many times before in this video. Night Swim, a terrible movie theater experience with a couple of rowdy people. That's all I'll say. But this one's okay too. I had more guilty pleasure time with this one than the last two movies because I kind of laughed at it a couple of times, especially how there's one point in the movie with Wyatt Russell where he's doing Marco Polo, and that's all I'll say. But that made me laugh unintentionally. And some of the ghost pool sequences are hilarious. So yeah. Coming in at number 62, I have The Watchers. M. Night Shyamalan's daughter's theatrical debut. Ishana Shyamalan? That's how you pronounce her name, right? Well, her directorial debut. And, yeah, it was okay. I think some of the ideas they were exploring were interesting with the eventual reveal what's going on in the woods. I thought that was interesting, but it kind of felt kiddish at the same exact time. Some of the claustrophobic aspects of the whole entire forest I thought were interesting. Dakota Fanning does alright. Yeah, it was just okay. I didn't hate it, but it was very weird, and I was very mixed on the movie. Number 61, I have Garfield. So the animated movie with Chris Pratt as Garfield. It's fine. Again, basically the same thing I said as Despicable Me 4. I think I enjoyed this one a little bit more than that because it had a lot more movie references and there was some adult humor in there that I found funny. But overall, just a kid movie for the kids. What can I say? Coming in at number 60, I have a straight to Hulu original movie that came out in October, Mr. Crockett. So this is basically Freddy Krueger mixed with Mr. Rogers. I think the beginning of the movie, there's one really cool gnarly kill in there, and also later on in the movie there's also another kill with a bubble that I thought was great. The kills in here were pretty good, and I also really enjoyed Mr. Crockett as a specific character. Everything else, all the other human characters, I did not care for. I thought they were very annoying, and I didn't really care if they made it out or not, to be honest. If they just made a movie about Mr. Crockett and focused on him a little bit more, I think I would have probably enjoyed that a little bit more than this. But overall, it was okay. I didn't mind it. 58, I have ISS. So this was, I believe, the first movie I saw this year. This might have been this was one of the first movies I saw this year. And to its credit, it's decent. It's a decent little psychological thriller where you have cosmonauts and astronauts in space, and basically there's a whole entire war going down on Earth between Russia and America. So they both get messages from their specific government saying, oh, you gotta take over the aircraft. So that's all I'll say. I thought that some of the acting was pretty good too, and but yeah, it was a decent little psychological thriller. Coming in at number 50, well, probably I would say ISS is actually above this film, because I think overall it's way more decently made compared to this one. And coming in at number 59, ISS is actually number 58. 59, I have Red One. Red One was okay. It was not as bad as everyone said, I don't think. It was entertaining. The performances were generic. The Rock plays the same character again. Who knows? Go figure, right? Chris Evans, I think, is the best acted character in this movie, with his whole entire subplot with his son, even though that feels a little undercooked. I loved the stuff with Krampus. I thought that was pretty good. CGI, surprisingly, well, most of the time it was, I would say there were points in the movie where it actually looked surprisingly decent, but most of the time it did not look decent. Yeah. What can I say? Coming in at number 57, I have Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Another one of my biggest disappointments of the year. Well, honestly, this one and the one above it are pretty much interchangeable. I'll probably watch Ghostbusters Frozen Empire more than Moana 2, so Moana 2 is the other one. So Moana 2 I would actually put lower than Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Just a cash grab sequel. That's what Moana 2 is. And Ghostbusters Frozen Empire took forever to get to the actual Frozen Empire theme. I was going like, dang, this is taking a long time to get to it. And it eventually gets to it in like the final act of the movie, which I was going, why did it take so long? That was just a bunch of false advertising. They downgraded the character of Sophie from the first movie. I didn't like what they did with her character. They made her kind of annoying in this movie, even though McKenna Grace still does good as her. And, yeah, it was alright. I would much rather watch it than Moana 2. Coming in at number 55, I have Reagan. So this is the Dennis Quaid, Ronald Reagan movie. And I think Dennis Quaid did actually quite a good job at encapsulating the mannerisms of Ronald Reagan. I think he did really good with that. I think some of the flashback sequences when it jumps around with all the different eras Ronald Reagan lived in and all the different versions of him, I think they did solid with that. I think even though I'm not really into politics much, there's a bunch of moments in here with the political divide that I did find quite interesting, especially for the time. So yeah, it was decent. I didn't hate it. Coming in at number 54, Bob Marley, One Love. And Bob Marley, One Love, another one of the biggest disappointments of the year. And by the way, biggest disappointments does not mean overall bad. It just means I had very high expectations for them, and they ended up going below those expectations. Bob Marley, One Love was one of those examples. I thought I was going to love this movie, because from the first trailers, they made it look like it was going to be phenomenal. And it just ended up being ended up being decent, but it was nowhere near like a biopic like Elvis or I'm trying to think of other or A Complete Unknown. It did not reach that. And also I was expecting it to focus more on Bob Marley's whole entire life, and it really didn't do that. It really only focused on one part of his life involving this peace concert, and I wasn't very familiar with Bob Marley going into this movie, so I was expecting, oh, this is his whole entire story or whatever, but it was just one part of his life. But Kingsley Ben-Adir does really great as Bob Marley, and so yeah, he's definitely the best part of the movie. Coming in at number 53, I have Badland Hunters. So this is a straight-to-Netflix movie, foreign film, where you have basically killer crocodiles and killer, why can't I speak? Killer amphibians, in, basically the future, in this post-apocalyptic world. I think some of the action sequences were quite good. As a foreign film, it's probably one of my least favorite that I've seen. I think Godzilla -1 and Train to Busan are my favorites, foreign films, and I love those movies. This one was just okay. I didn't mind it. Coming in at number 52, I would say now we're in the, I liked them movie, phase. And I liked Badland Hunters, I think I would say, too. Yeah, we're now in the I like. I have number 52. I have Piece by Piece. Pretty decent little Lego movie to add to the Lego franchise as a whole. I wasn't too familiar with Pharrell Williams' story either, so walked in as completely blind as possible. I think the first few parts of the movie, or the first half, I should say, when he was a little younger, I found fascinating. How he eventually became this big pop star. However, later on in the movie, it dragged and it felt really long and kind of lost me. Musical numbers were pretty good, but then it took forever to. But they did a lot of musical numbers in this movie, which is another problem with another movie I have later on. But that movie's way more better than this one. But I still liked it. Oh, when I put for my Lego movie tier list ranking I did a while back, I put this in Toxic Goodness. I thought it was good. Coming in at number 51, I have Werewolves. I was a little disappointed by this one too, because don't get me wrong, I still liked the movie, but I'm a big werewolf guy. I love most of the werewolf movies I've seen. I love the original Wolfman. I love An American Werewolf in London. I love Silver Bullet. I love werewolf movies. This one, I liked. It's the plot synopsis was basically The Purge with werewolves, and that signed my ticket. So, and Frank Grillo, ironically, is in the movie. This movie is all practical to werewolves, which is the biggest positive I can say about this movie. I'm glad they went all practical. Besides the CGI transformation sequences, that's the only not practical thing about it. So, but the actual practical things with the werewolves I thought were done really, really well throughout. A couple of the kills were decent, but then there were some other ones where they were kind of off screen or less memorable than the other ones. And yeah, I liked it. And I thought some of the other acting performances besides Frank Grillo weren't that good, but yeah, it was solid. Coming in at number 50, I have Damsel, and this is a straight-to-Netflix movie with Millie Bobby Brown, and most people seem to not like this movie as much, and I actually thought it was a pretty decent watch. You have Millie Bobby Brown in here, where she's stuck in a cave with a couple of dragons, and she's trying to escape. I think Millie Bobby Brown, did I just say ground? Millie Bobby Brown does really good in this movie, and I think the CGI for the dragons are quite good as well. So I thought this was solid as well. Coming in at number 49, I have Kung Fu Panda 4. This might be my least favorite of the franchise. It's very closely tied with Kung Fu Panda 3, but I still thoroughly enjoyed the movie. And it was good to see Jack Black back as Po. Coming in at number 47, I have Best Christmas Pageant Ever. Yeah, pretty decent. It has very familiar. It's very familiar and reminiscent of other Christmas movies like Christmas Story and what was the other one that I compared it to? I basically just forgot the whole entire thing. It's similar to Christmas Story, if you want the short addition to it. So, if you like A Christmas Story, check this one out. It takes a lot of inspiration and liberties from it, even though it's a little too similar at times. Gosh, I'm gonna need more water when I do this. Coming in at number 47, The Beekeeper. This is just what you expected it to be. A fun pun intended, a fun B movie that is another solid action film with Jason Statham. Because, like, Jason Statham is along with Gerard Butler, with those guys that kind of make they know the movies they're making. These straight to theaters, generic action movies, they know what they're doing. And this one I thought was really fun. Josh Hutcherson is the villain in this one, and I thought he was hilarious in that role. I thought he did really good. Jason Statham did really good in this movie as well. I think some of the revenge kill scenes are pretty brutal. Oh, one involves fingers. Wow, that was brutal. Yeah, it's pretty much everything it needed to be. I liked it quite a bit. Coming in at number 46, I have Trap. And Trap is the new movie that by M. Night Shyamalan with Josh Hartnett. And I saw this on my birthday, I believe, and I thought it was fine. There's a lot of coincidences in the movie where I was going, yeah, that would not happen in real life. And I do not see how people didn't suspect that he would be the killer or whatever. The concert, I think overall when it was in the concert where he's trying to evade the cops and try to eventually escape, I think he did a good job. I think that those scenes were really good. However, later on in the movie, after they leave the concert, there's like a twist where, oh, he's not the main character anymore, it's this person. And that felt just very M. Night, what are you doing? And it felt, because the movie's been out for a while now, so I'll talk about it. His daughter kind of becomes the main character. M. Night's daughter, the pop singer or whatever, for a second later on in the movie. I was just going, why? But, yeah, Josh Hartnett does good, even though some points in the movie when he's trying to pretend like he's totally normal, I go like, yeah, he's definitely the serial killer. Hey, cops! Yeah, those scenes were not so good. But when he's just acting the usual, I think he does good. Coming in at number 45, I have Venom: The Last Dance. And the solid ending to the Venom trilogy. I think it wrapped things up perfectly at the end. I thought that was a really nice ending to end this trilogy for the people that really liked the franchise. Tom Hardy and Venom still have really good chemistry. Or should I say, Tom Hardy and Tom Hardy. Because Tom Hardy voices Venom in this movie. This one had the biggest stakes out of the movie, which I think added a whole lot more drama. The symbiote fight sequence later on in the movie I thought was really cool. And yeah, it was I didn't mind it. I thought it was a good ending to it was a decent ending to the Venom franchise. Coming in at number 44, I have Never Let Go. And Never Let Go is a movie with Halle Berry. She has two sons, and they live in this house, and it's post-apocalyptic, and they're not supposed to let go of the rope at all attached to the house. And there's lots of occurrences happening outside the woods. That side of the thing I found, that side of the film I found very intriguing. The movie, however, I think lost me later on in the movie because they try to do this little, I don't know how to explain it, but they try to make the movie very twisty at the end, and I was going, yeah, that's a little too confusing, and it had me going like, what's the ending supposed to mean? Sorry. Yeah, so it had me go like that a couple of times. Coming in at number 43, I have Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. And it would have probably been a lot louder if I had not been talking about this movie for so long. I watched this movie not having watched the first film because the first film, I heard how many people hate that movie. I heard how garbage that movie was. So I basically just watched this one to get this on my end of the year list, and I thought it was decent, especially for a lower budget movie. Well, not low budget, but lower budget compared to the current movie status, where movies are like 200 million, 100 million. This is like cost $1 million. I think you can tell the budget definitely was used in this movie for the new designs of Winnie the Pooh, Pigger. Did I just say Pigger? Pigger. Tigger, Piglet, and Owl. I don't know what I'm talking about here. They also gave the killers this time around their own personality traits based off of horror killers. So basically, Pooh is kind of like the big brute of the group, where he's kind of very similar to Michael Myers, Leatherface, and trying to think of other and Jason Voorhees. He's very similar to them. Piglet's not in the movie much, but I got Leatherface vibes from him. Owl in this movie is kind of like Jeepers Creepers in a sense. I think he feels very reminiscent of him. Also, Tigger in here was the standout for me. He's very similar to Freddy Krueger. So the movie, however, I still went a little too serious. I feel like this time around they had more fun with concept. Don't get me wrong, and they had some pretty cool kills. However, I think they still gotta hold back on the seriousness, and they got enhanced the whole entire they got enhanced the silliness of the movie and acknowledge how silly and goofy it is with Pooh and Tigger and Piglet and Owl killing people. Coming in at number 42, I have Beetlejuice. Well, with Michael Keaton returning in his obviously iconic role, and this time around you actually get more of him as his iconic role. And he does really good in it. You know, I'm doing a prank thing because, you know, if you say his name 3 times, he'll appear, you know. Winona Ryder, I don't know why, something felt a little off about her performance in this one. Lydia felt a little too quiet in this movie compared to the first film. But you do get more of Michael Keaton's iconic character in here. This movie had, however, and also the practical effects still look really, really good. And before this movie came out, they did officially say, oh, the movie is going to be practical. They're going to make this one practical. So I'm glad they went practical. However, the movie took, it had so many plot lines going on at the same time and so many characters going on at the same time, where they could have easily been in the third movie in the franchise. BJ, you know. So, yeah. Coming in at number 41, I have Carry On. So this is a straight-to-Netflix movie that's very inspired by Die Hard. It kind of is Die Hard. Taron Egerton does good. Jason Bateman in here as the villain does really solid. I think I would like to see more roles of his as a kind of psycho killer, because this is one of the first times he played something outside of the comedy zone. So I would love to see him do that role again, because I think he was great in this movie as the bad guy in this film. However, the movie is way too similar to Die Hard. Don't get me wrong, it's in an airport, but still, it is very similar to Die Hard. Especially it is more similar to it compared to other Die Hard movies, like Die Hard ripoff movies, people say, like Cliffhanger, Air Force One. Those feel a little bit different compared to Die Hard. This time around, it feels very Die Hard. All right. Coming in at number 40, I have Joker Folie à Deux. And I watched this movie, not watching the previous Joker film. And I thought it was decent. Before this movie came out, from early reactions before everyone else saw it, there was a lot of divisiveness in the movie, because there were people calling it a masterpiece, and then there were people outright hating the movie. But everyone also said how garbage the ending was. And I didn't unfortunately see it in theaters when it came out. And I basically just waited to watch it on Max 2 days ago. And I liked it. It's very unique. That is a huge positive. It is very unique, and it stands on its own 2 feet for sure. I think it is filmed very, very well. The production design, I cannot speak. Production design is very well as well. Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix act pretty decent as Joker and Harley Quinn. However, the movie loses me with that freaking ending. Why? What the heck was that? That was just... Even I haven't seen the first Joker movie, but man, like, if I was one of the people that watched the first film, I feel as if that would probably be a middle finger to them. Because the first movie, the first Joker movie is divisive in itself. Not a whole lot of people love that movie, but a whole lot, because it was very 50-50 when it came out. And this time around, it feels, the people that loved the first film, this movie was basically just saying, hey, middle finger, and basically flipped them off. So it was just a why ending. Musical numbers didn't really work for me. I think for the first half, when it's in the Arkham, the whole entire prison, I think the movie had me. However, later on in the movie, when it gets to the court scenes, I found myself a little bored. But when it eventually got to the scene with Joker's former friend, or Arthur's former friend from the first film, I forgot what his name was, the little guy, Mr. Puddles, because he called him that. But that sequence was really good. That's probably the best scene of the whole entire movie. But yeah, totally understand why everyone hates this one, though. It's not perfect. It's far from it. But maybe down the line, people could call this a masterpiece. I don't know why. I feel as if people would call it that down the line. Coming in at number 39, I have Mufasa the Lion King. And originally going into this one, I was very, very skeptical. Because the Lion King live-action remake from a few years ago in 2019, I was not a fan of whatsoever. So when they announced a prequel for the live-action remake, I was going, I'm not even a big fan of prequels either. There's maybe a couple I could count on one hand of prequels I enjoy. Then I eventually saw the movie, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. Still not perfect, but this movie is not a shot-for-shot remake like the Lion King 2019 film. This definitely has more originality to it, while still taking a lot of liberties from other movies for the story of Mufasa. The dynamic between Mufasa and Scar was pretty solid until later on in the movie, when Scar does a complete 180 switch from the character he just was and turns into the evil Scar we know. And it came out so out of left field, and you're going, how did you make that drastic change so fast? Villain in here, pretty forgettable, but he does have a really good song in here, and that's sad to say, because Mads Mikkelsen voices the villain in here, and Mads Mikkelsen is one of the most underrated actors working today, in my personal opinion. But yeah, he looked cool. The villain looked cool, and his main song was cool, but yeah, overall, still not a great villain. I think the CGI still looks pretty good compared to the first film. Even though I did not like the first film, the CGI still looks pretty decent. This time around, they have way more emotions in the faces of the animals this time around, which I applauded that they did that, because the first film, even though CGI was good, you could tell from the animals they didn't have much emotion in their faces like a cartoon. And yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by this one. Coming at number 38, I have It Ends With Us. So, I walked into this one just to add it to the year. So, it is a romance movie with Blake Lively in it. And it's based off the book. I've never read the book, and to be fair, I'm not much of a big book reader to begin with. However, I think the conflict you have in here with Blake Lively choosing one relationship or the other, I thought that was really good. I think the overall ending of the movie was pretty solid too. And there's a couple of scenes in here where it kind of goes over PG-13 with some of the stuff it talks about, and I was not expecting that for this movie whatsoever. So, yeah, coming out number 38, it ends with us. Quite good. And I would say probably from it ends with us to later on in the video, I would say all the rest of these are pretty much good. Kato Lake was a good, that's number 37. Was a good straight to HBO Max film, and the eventual reveal of what was going on, I did not expect. I thought that was quite interesting, while still being confusing later on in the movie. Coming in at number 36, I have Cabrini. I had low expectations for this one because it's by Angel Studios. I haven't been the biggest fan of Angel Studios' work, to be honest with you, so walked in a little skeptical, and I actually ended up, that was probably the first Angel Studios project I ended up walking out of, and I said, oh, I actually liked that quite a bit, and I wasn't very familiar with the story of Cabrini, so yeah, I thought it was solid. Coming out at number 35, I have Arthur the King. So this is another one of the dog movies that came out, and has Mark Wahlberg in it. And Mark Wahlberg acts really good in it, and surprisingly, they do enough to make it not an entirely generic dog movie. So, yeah. Gotta take a drink of water again. 34. Coming at number 34, I have If, or Imaginary Friend, if you will. The second Imaginary Friend movie to come out this year. This time for kids, actually. It was pretty solid. John Krasinski does a good job at acting and directing in this one. Caleb Presley Fleming from the Walking Dead does good in here as the main role. CGI for the actual imaginary friends and the designs for the imaginary friends were also quite decent. So yeah, that was good. Coming out number 33, I have A Complete Unknown, the better biopic this year, based on the story of Bob Dylan. I wasn't too familiar with Bob Dylan going into this one, and I thought it was really good. The only two things that held this movie back for me was the movie was very long and it felt very drawn out. Also, the movie does a lot more songs than story in here. So, but I think Timothée Chalamet deserves his Oscar nomination for his portrayal of Bob Dylan. He did fantastic in this movie. Edward Norton also did great in here as his role. And the musical numbers, even though there was a lot of them, and I thought there was a little too much of them, I think the musical numbers were still solid. Coming in at number 32, I have Azrael. And Azrael is kind of a hidden radar, under the radar horror film that got released randomly in theaters one week. So went to go see it in theaters, and it was a pretty good little intense horror movie in here. So it's in a distant future where everyone has their like throats severed and they can't speak, and there's these creatures in the woods. And I think the actual design of the creatures were quite I think they were decent, while still feeling like they felt very reminiscent of other creatures you've seen before, when you eventually see what they look like. Samara Weaving does phenomenal in this, even though she doesn't really speak. The gore in here was pretty solid as well. Only thing I didn't really care for was the whole entire silent gimmick. I didn't like the whole entire movie basically being silent the whole entire time. Coming in at number 31, I have Fly Me to the Moon. So this is the romance movie with why am I blanking out? Oh my goodness. Scarlett Johansson. I don't know why I blanked out on her name, but as Channing Tatum and Scarlett Johansson, romance, little rom-com, also based on the iconic theory of, is the moon landing real or is it fake? And it doesn't go too on either side. It doesn't go like, oh, it is totally fake or it's totally real. It balances that out perfectly. So I think it does really good. The soundtrack's in here really good. I think the 60s aesthetic it did capture quite well. So, yeah, I'd like to Fly Me to the Moon. Coming out at number 30, top 30 people. Home stretch, baby. Let's go. Okay. I hear my dogs barking. Coming out at number 30, I have The Fire Inside. So this is a sports drama based on the real-life true story of Claressa Shields. I wasn't very familiar with that story, so walked in completely blind, and I thought it was a really solid boxing movie. I think Michael Tyree Henry does phenomenal in this, and if I was running the Academy Awards, I think I would have nominated him for Best Supporting Actor because he does phenomenal in this as Claressa's coach. I think the main actress that does play Claressa acts really great in here as well. The boxing sequences were very solid. However, the movie is very reminiscent of other movies. That's the only problem I had. It was very reminiscent of other things. So yeah. Coming in at number 29, I have Lisa Frankenstein. One of the biggest surprises of the year. I didn't know what I was walking into with this one. And this basically had a lot of inspiration from Tim Burton's previous work. It's kind of Edward Scissorhands meets Edward Scissorhands with a flair of a 80s aesthetic to it. Also, Robin Williams' daughter actually directed this movie. So this might have been her directorial debut, and it was a pretty solid one. Catherine Newton does phenomenal in her role in this. Cole Sprouse does good as the undead guy. And yeah, overall, it was a really fun time. So yeah. Coming in at number 28, I have Salem's Lot, which seems to be quite divisive for the most part. I've seen most people being 50-50 on the movie. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie for a straight-to-Max original film. I never watched the original short miniseries, and I never read the book. And I thought it was quite solid. I think the kills in here were quite good. I think the design of the vampire was quite solid. I liked a couple of the characters in here. There's this one kid character in here that I thought he was quite cool. And yeah, a solid vampire film. And this was actually a pretty solid year for vampire films, all things considered. Coming in at number 27, I have Godzilla X Kong New Empire. This is a movie that totally acknowledges what it is. It's dumb fun, but it is really good dumb fun. This might be my favorite out of the MonsterVerse franchise. This or Kong Skull Island, they're about neck and neck. I really enjoyed the villainous Scar King in here, even though later on in the movie it kind of feels like he's generic. Even though he has a cool design to him, and I enjoy him as an overall villain. The fight sequences in here are very destructive, but they're awesome. And you get to explore more Middle Earth in here. So, yeah. 27. Alright. Number 26. And I would say from here on up, these movies are great to phenomenal. Number 26, I have City of Dreams. So this is a movie based on child trafficking. And it's a phenomenal movie, but I'm probably never going to rewatch this one again because this was a rough one. This was a rough one. Don't get me wrong, it's an amazing movie, but it was rough to get through. That's the only reason why it's at number 25. Coming out at number 20. Wait, no, that was 26, sorry. Coming out at number 25, I have Rebel Ridge. Rebel Ridge was a one that I was able to just squeeze in last second to add to my yearly ranking, and Rebel Ridge was also another solid action movie while not having a whole lot of action. I think the main dude that they chose for Green Lantern in this movie was the right choice. I think he does really good, and I think on the screen he just screamed Jon Stewart. The villains in here I thought were quite solid as well, and yeah, solid little Netflix movie, and I wouldn't mind a sequel, to be honest. Coming in at number 24, I have Juror Number 2, another movie I was just able to squeeze yesterday. And yeah, I thought this was another solid courtroom drama too that took a lot of inspirations from 12 Angry Men and A Few Good Men. 12 Angry Men, one of my favorite movies of all time, so that immediately adds a plus on there. Nicholas Hoult does really great in it, and yeah, really one of the best Max movies I've seen in a long time. I thought it was really solid. Coming in at number 23, I have Superman: The Christopher Reeve Story. Okay, probably I'm gonna get a lot of backlash for having it this low. Wait, no, actually, no, I switched it around. Okay, no, number 23 is Lord of the Rings: War of the Rohirrim. I thoroughly, really enjoyed Lord of the Rings: War of the Rohirrim. I think the movie is one of the most underrated movies this year. The anime style goes perfectly with the Lord of the Rings franchise, and yeah, I actually thoroughly enjoyed it a lot more than other people did. Number 22, I have Smile 2. I thought it was 1,000 times better than the first Smile. I think that what was I gonna say? I think Naomi Scott delivers a phenomenal performance in this, and I think she deserves some recognition and a reward or something, because she does great in this. I think the gore in here is actually more better than the first film, and yeah, liked it quite a bit as well. Coming in at number 21, I have Wicked. And Wicked, I went in a little skeptical too, because I'm not a musical guy. I can count on almost two hands how many musicals I like or love, and this would be added to that category. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. Ariana Grande does hilarious as Glenda, or Glenda, of course referencing the movie. She kind of, it feels as if in the movie she's kind of playing a stereotype of herself, and she realizes her insecurities sometimes when she was, when she had that little controversy not too long ago about her licking the donuts and stuff. I think she kind of acknowledged how crazy she was back then, so that was a little funny. I think the main person that plays Alphaba also does really good. I think the musical numbers in here were quite solid, and the production design was awesome. I think they really did good with it. Hurrah! 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 Coming in at number 20, I have Abigail. And Abigail was a movie that I did not check out in theaters, but eventually waited until it came out to streaming. And another solid vampire movie this year. Took a lot of inspirations from The Lost Boys and other 80s vampire movies that I love, like Fright Night. And the cast was really good too, so yeah. Coming in at number 18, I have 19. I have Longlegs. And the only negative I had with this movie is later on the movie kind of does a 180 where it's not grounded anymore and makes it unrealistic, unlike the beginning half of the movie. However, everything building up towards that, I think Nicolas Cage was great in here. I'm not seeing him as anything else in any of his other movies from now on. Micah Monroe, I think that's what her name is. The person from It Follows, I think she did really good in here too as her character. So yeah. Coming in at number 18? Yes, number 18, I have The Fall Guy. This was just a dumb fun movie, and it fully acknowledged the type of movie it is, but it is a great dumb fun movie. It's a great fun movie about stuntmen, and Ryan Gosling and did really good. Coming in at number 17, I have Superman: Christopher Reeve Story. I decided to change that last minute. Really good. I'm not a big fan of documentaries whatsoever, and this one was quite solid, and it actually made me kind of teary-eyed later on in the movie, and shows how great of a human being Christopher Reeves was. Coming in at number 16, I have Civil War. And Civil War was quite divisive as well, because a whole lot of people were expecting it to be political, and that's not really the type of movie you're walking into here. It is a movie that basically focuses on photography and how brutal war can be. And I think every one of the performances in here were great. So, yeah. Coming in at number 15, I have Small Things Like These. So this is a movie that Cillian Murphy did besides after Oppenheimer, and I think he does really good in here as well. Yeah, solid little movie that came out. Now again to the heavy hitters that I really enjoyed. Coming in at number 14, I have Gladiator 2. Are you not entertained? If you would have asked me a long time ago, I would have gone. If you would have asked me a long time ago that I would have liked a Gladiator sequel, I would have gone, you're crazy, because I think that first movie is perfect, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Then I saw the second one, and I was actually pleasantly surprised, and they had a really solid reason of how Gladiator needed a sequel. And, yeah, I thought it was quite solid as well. Coming in at number 13, I have Transformers 1. Easily, probably the best Transformers movie we've ever gotten. It's very tied with Bumblebee for me. The animation looks really good, even though it takes you a little while to get used to. It's really good. The only thing I had wrong with it really was later on in the movie, the Megatron and Optimus ascension into chaos was a little rushed. It felt like it should have been able to have gone longer, and it didn't really do that. So, coming in at number 12, I have A Quiet Place Day One, and this is honestly my favorite Quiet Place movie. I was not expecting that walking into it, and walking out of it, I almost cried at this one. I loved the two characters of Lupita Nyong'o's character and Joseph Quinn's character. I loved the cat in this movie. I loved the whole entire thing about pizza in this movie. I really enjoyed this movie as well. Coming in at number 11, just getting that close to the top 10, I have Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I like the first one, and I really like the second one. And this one, was my favorite out of the trilogy. You have Shadow the Hedgehog getting introduced in here. He's a very nice new addition. Jim Carrey playing double duty and doing a great job at pulling double duty in this film. Yeah. We're in the top 10, people. We're in the top 10. Whee! We made it. Coming out at number 10, I have Alien Romulus, another solid addition to the Alien franchise, and brings the Alien franchise back from the depths. And hopefully, the Predator movies do the same this year, like Prey did. Coming in at number 9, I have Speak No Evil, the best Blumhouse movie of the year. And it was actually great. I had a fun time with this. James McAvoy does a great job at playing these charismatic freaks, and he does even more so here. Coming in at number 8, I have Inside Out 2, a great follow-up to the first film. And, yeah, surprisingly really good. Coming in at number 7, I have Twisters. I'm not really a big fan of the first Twister, and Twisters was 1,000 times better. I had so much more fun with it. Glenn Powell did great. Daisy Edgar Jones did great as well. And David Cornsweet's in here, our new Superman this year, and he also did quite solid as well. Coming in at number 6, just edging out the top 5, I have The Wild Robot. It's just, this came really, really close. I love The Wild Robot, but it's just, the movies above it, I love them a lot more. But Wild Robot is a phenomenal animated movie, and one of DreamWorks' best in the last few years. It was phenomenal. Now, top 5, people. Coming in at number 5, I have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I love the previous Matt Reeves trilogy, and this was a great follow-up, and I definitely am interested in what else Westball is cooking for this trilogy after watching this film. Coming in at number 4, I have Dune Part 2. Popcorn bucket right there. Wait, I'm going a little too... Right there, kind of. You see it right there? Yeah. Okay, Dune Popcorn bucket right there. But Dune Part 2, I liked the first Dune, but I felt it was very, very long. And this one felt a little bit more fast-paced, even though it was long, but it felt like the runtime went by super fast. One of the best sci-fi movies I've seen in a long, long time, and everything was just created well in here. Coming in at number 3, I was very confident this movie was going to be in my number 1 spot, but after seeing the previous 2 movies, the newest one and the movie I saw earlier the year and watching it again, it just edges out the top 2. and it is Deadpool and Wolverine. Life is a mystery. And yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. Yeah, Deadpool, it's so great to finally see Deadpool and Wolverine actually interact for the first time, and Ryan Reynolds does great. Coming in at number 2, I have Heretic with Hugh Grant. And Heretic, I think, is the best horror movie of the year. I thought this movie was really great. It did a great job at balancing breaking down faith, but also rising it up at the same time. It did really great with that. Hugh Grant delivers probably, I would say, the best performance of the year. I loved his work in that film. Yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. Coming in at number 1, I have Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, which I know, it surprised me when I rewatched it again. I went, this might be my favorite of the year. Hold up. And I watched Mad Max Fury Road for the first time this year, later on after I watched this movie. And then when I rewatched this again, I think out of the Mad Max movies, those 2 Mad Max movies, I think this has the better story. I think the more straightforward story. Anya Taylor-Joy does great as Furiosa. Chris Hemsworth does great as the villain in here. I think that's his best performance I've ever seen him give. Overall, just really loved Furiosa. So Furiosa is actually my number 1 of the year. Isn't that crazy? Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope y'all enjoyed this long video. I think this is the longest monthly check I've ever done. And the next few ones are going to be longer. I can guarantee you that. But I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Be sure to let me know your yearly checks down below. Stay tuned for next year, because I'll be doing my next one too. But with that being said, guys, I'll see y'all next one, everybody. Peace out.